This shit's good. Hello book besties, welcome back to my channel. I'm Emasu, a book lover that's always on a binge, and in this video I am doing a book rec tag. All these prompts I created myself and it is very unhinged, so I hope you're here for the whole ride because I made 15 prompts. Therefore there will be 15 books that I'll be recommending, and I made sure not to recommend the same book. Let's start with the first prompt. It says, a book I recommend to someone who doesn't like reading. So this one, the book has to be easy to follow. The world building has to be easily digestible as well. Someone like a new reader would be able to pick up on, you know? So the book that I've chosen for this one is The Book of Azrael by Amber V. Nicole. This is the first book in the Gods and Monsters series. I chose this one because this is a dark urban fantasy series, so it has elements of modern day technology as well. So it's not too far off for someone that just wants to start in this kind of world, like fantasy world. It is very easy to read, very easy to follow, and I think it really eases the reader into the world, knowing the magic system, the creatures that are involved, the humans, the different gods and all that. So this book follows our female main character Diana, who is the morally gray character in this book. Okay, she is nowhere good. She is the monsters in the Gods and Monsters. Her ability is being able to shapeshift into that monster form while also having supernatural abilities the whole time, even in her human form. She is very strong of a character, very badass, until one day she infiltrates one of the buildings of the good guys, the Celestials as they're called, and she meets a Celestial named Liam. That is kind of where things start to do a whole 180 on her. The whole time that she's been alive, about like 1,000 years, I think, she's basically immortal. What she's been brought up to believe this whole time turns out to be not the complete image of it all, if that makes sense. You just need to pick this book up, okay? There's only 3 books so far. I believe this is gonna be a 7-book series, and the 4th one actually comes out this fall, I want to say. This also has great found family, very slow burn romance, and true, did you hear that? True enemies to lovers. Have a good time with this one. I'm missing something. Can't believe I forgot about this. This is one of my favorite flavors out there right now. It is the Sherbet Swirl Sorbet by Alani, and it tastes like Skittles. Ooh, cheers! Very fizzy. Alright, next prompt. A book you never shut up about, but still think not enough people have read. This is a book that I always recommend to anyone that wants to get into dark fantasy. It's called The Poisoner by Ivy Ophelia. She is an indie author, and this book itself is very underrated. I need more people to talk about it, and it's actually a series. We don't have any announcements for book 2 yet, but I'm certainly getting book 2 once it's out. So like I said, this is a dark fantasy romance, but it's also a gothic Victorian era time setting. This follows our female main character Alina Liz, who is a botanist, and she studies plants for their properties in order to create medicine, but she also studies them to create poison. And what does she do with these poisons, you may be wondering? She gives them to women who knowingly give them to very unsavory men in their lives and unalives them in a very subtle way. She is a very smart, intelligent, cunning female main character. She is a badass in her own way, and she has been helping these women with their men problems for a long time, until one day she attends a party where she unfortunately witnesses a blonde man, a mysterious blonde man, who was trying to suck blood out of one of the women at the party. He saw her staring, and that piqued his interest for her. From then, she tries to poison him, but was very unsuccessful because our mysterious man is dubbed the Creature and is in fact a vampire. He has a split tongue. A split tongue. He does many things with that split tongue. This was such a good time. After their first meeting, they start to have this cat and mouse chase going on. MMC Silas is also morally gray to morally black, really, and is very unhinged and infatuated with Alina. Make sure to read your trigger warnings before you pick this book up because it is quite a lot. It's like I said, it is a very dark fantasy romance. So yeah, this is the book that I never shut up about and will never shut up about. So pick this book up. Continuing on before I start to ramble more about The Poisoner, the third prompt is a book where the audiobook was an experience of a lifetime. I actually don't have the physical copy of this book. I just bought the audiobook because I've heard really great things prior to me listening to this audiobook, and it did not disappoint. It was definitely not what I thought it was gonna be. Like, I did not see it coming at all. It's called Lights Out by Navessa Allen, and this has taken book talk by storm. This is a audiobook that everybody raves about, and personally for me, I also had a really good time. I had a great time, in fact. I did not expect for the female main character to be also as unhinged and obsessed as the male main character. The audiobook is a dual POV narration. The male main character, Josh, is a computer hacker by day and a masked man TikToker at night. And he has quite a following. And one of those followers is actually our female main character, Allie, who is a nurse, and she is in love with this masked man. Nobody knows who he is in real life besides Josh himself. Until one day, Josh comes upon Allie's most recent comments on his videos, and he takes it a step further by breaking into her own home and making TikTok videos from her bedroom. And while he's in there, he's ordering security measures for Allie's home because it was too easy to break into. He's very unhinged and very thoughtful at the same time. And then Josh starts to DM her, and that's where their strange relationship kind of starts. The audiobook really makes up for some parts where it was a little cringy, but was still very entertaining because of the voice actors. If you want an audiobook that will give you the best time, definitely listen to Lights Out by Navessa Allen. Next prompt, a book that gave me emotional damage. There actually have been many books that have given me emotional damage, but this one particular still stays very much engraved in my heart and hurts me because it only has one other book, and that would be Daisy Hates by Jessa Hastings. This is the second book in the Magnolia Parks universe. Magnolia Parks story is completed, and Daisy Hates has 4 books in total, but only 2 are out, the first 2. And I have not read the other Daisy Hates yet, or the other 2 Magnolia Parks, which are right here. So I have not read these 3. This left me with such intense emotional damage that I could not move on yet. So I'm waiting for the right time, the right moment to pick up the rest of the series. This is a contemporary romance, very toxic. This is not for the faint of heart. It puts your mind and emotions through a roller coaster. Now, since I'm talking about Daisy Hates, I'll only talk about her, but basically the gist of Magnolia Parks universe is this high-class society that have lots of money, lots of time, and lots of drama. So we're talking like Gossip Girl, but in London, England. That's the vibes that it's giving. And for this one particularly, Daisy Hates is the sister of a notorious gang lord in London, England. Yeah, and her brother Julian Hates, the gang lord himself, is very protective of Daisy Hates. Okay, this man is not a good man, but he is good to his sister. He will do his very best to protect her. I adore him. We don't see much of him yet, but I've heard that we see a lot of him in The Great Undoing. This one follows Daisy and Christian. Christian Hems is also part of the high-class society, and him and his brother also work in a similar field as Julian Hates. So their paths intertwine. Both Daisy and Christian come from such a broken family in different ways, but similar, and have so much trauma. The ending of this book, I was crying for a good day. I don't know where it's gonna go from here, but they're my babies. I love them so much, and they hold a very special place in my heart. They're both high up there in my top favorite MMCs and FMCs, so pick this up if you want emotional damage because it will definitely deliver. This next one says a book that put me in a reading slump, which there's this one very well-known fantasy romance book that came out this year and had placed me in a reading slump for a good month. A good month of no fantasy books because of it, and that would be Onyx Storm by Rebecca Yarros. This is the 3rd book in the Empyrean series. The first book is Fourth Wing, if you don't know. This is a fantasy romance with dragons. What more could you want? Because as a Game of Thrones and House of the Dragons lover myself, I'm enjoying the series. This book itself just packed a whole lot and punched me through the gut. It hurt, but in the best way possible. We really get to see how Violet and Xaden's relationship holds up in the face of such an overwhelming dilemma that the world is going through, and all these people that they have to save. Everything about this was just so good. I just loved seeing Xaden so obsessed and just know how to love Violet. Like, he loves her. There is no changing that. I know I've heard people say that Xaden is probably gonna be a Tamlin. Like, he's probably not gonna be the endgame for her. I'm like, you're kidding me, right? Like, even Rebecca Yarros herself said that Xaden and Violet are endgame. So I am holding up to that. I know in my heart they are endgame. They will always be endgame. And I just need the next book. So if you want a book that puts you in a reading slump, Onyx Storm, and really the entire series so far. Prompt number 6 is a book that got me out of a reading slump. Like I said, Onyx Storm has put me in a reading slump for a good month. So it took me a whole month to find a fantasy book that would get me out of a reading slump. And in fact, it is a 6-book series that I read in 6 days. I read 1 book per day and finished the entire thing in less than a week, and that would be the Cruel Shifterverse series. And the first book, Psycho Shifters, is the book itself that got me out of the reading slump because it just truly captured my attention. And this book was not really what I expected as well. I didn't really know what I was getting myself into because I've never read a Shifterverse romance before. And the world itself was so new to me. There was many terms that I was like, what does this mean? It is no way a literary masterpiece, but it was so addicting. Now, this is a dark fantasy romance, reverse harem, and waichus romance, and very slow burn as well. If you're not familiar with waichus or reverse harem, it means there's one female main character and multiple male main character partners. And in this, the men, they grovel. They really do. So in the first book, it follows our female main character, Sadie, who all her life has known herself to be just human until she turned 20, where she was dragged from her workplace by this mysterious shadow man that takes her to a lake where they test the blood of people so that they can find if they're an alpha, beta, or omega. And alpha is the highly regarded species in this shifter world, and she finds out that she's an alpha, and then she gets dragged once again to this military academy where she has to train with these alpha males who has never met an alpha female before because it is very rare. And these 3 alpha males hate her with everything they've got, and Sadie goes through such hell training with these men and their egos. It is probably a series that I would definitely reread. Like, it's such an easy read. The writing is so easy to follow. And there are cringy moments, but it is such a great vibey book. For me, personally, if I need to get out of a reading slump, I need a vibey book. I need a book that is so unhinged, so out of my comfort zone. Very much a right book, right time. Prompt number 7 is a book you read for the vibes and nothing but the vibes. One in particular stands out, and it's actually the same author as the Psycho Shifters. It is Blood of Hercules by Jasmine Maz. It is also dark fantasy, reverse harem, waichus romance, but in a Greek mythology retelling. And our character is the female version of Hercules. I actually picked this up before Psycho Shifters, so this was my very first reverse harem waichus romance. This is also true enemies to lovers and a very slow burn romance. In this world, Spartans and Titans also exist. Spartans are what humans look up to because they protect them from the bad guys, which are the Titans. But within the Spartan community or species, there are 2 kinds. There are the good guys, who are called the Olympians, and the bad guys called the Chthonics. This is because the Olympians have powers that don't harm people, whereas the Chthonics do have the possibility to harm and maim people. We have one female main character named Alexis Hurt, and all her life she's known herself to be human. Until one day Alexis Hurt was taking an exam for her school and was rudely interrupted by the people that work for the Olympians, and they cut her finger to test her blood, and she found out that she's actually Spartan. And now she's being taken to this war academy where she trains to become a full Spartan in order to fight the Titans amongst the other Olympians. And while in this academy, she goes through such gruesome, deadly trials and tests in order to proceed further into her training. And she works with 2 mentors and 2 professors who happen to be the 4 male main characters. The 2 professors are Charon and Augustus, and the 2 mentors are Achilles and Petro. All 4 of these men have such hatred towards Alexis, and her life is just hell in this academy. Also, Alexis Hurt has very much sarcastic unhinged, incredibly hilarious in her monologues. It was such a fun time seeing things from her perspective and what her thought process were and how she just talks to herself basically. And she also has a snake, an invisible snake to everyone else but her. And the art piece at the front, gorgeous. Can you see that? We also get POV chapters from the men themselves, so it's such a good book. This was like a very surprising read for me. I cannot wait for the second book. I need more of this. So yes, the vibes were immaculate with this one. Prompt number 8 is a book that literally got me scream texting my friend after every chapter. Now my friend, yeah, my bestie, she hasn't read any dark romance books. And the book that I was scream texting to her about is in fact a dark romance book. So to say that she has no idea what I was talking about is an understatement. She kind of was just like there for me and I love her for it. The book that I was madly texting to her about is The Maddest Obsession by Danielle Laurie. This is the second interconnected standalone book in an interconnected standalone series by her called The Maid series. This story follows Gianna and Christian Alistair. I was scream texting every tab that I created here and she was shell-shocked to say the least. But once she's ready to pick up a dark romance series, this is definitely the series that I'm gonna recommend to her because this is such a good book. This is my favorite book out of the series. Christian Alistair's obsession towards Gianna, the amount of love that he has for this woman, being obsessed with her for 8 years, going to therapy because of it, and having kissed nobody prior to her. This man knows yearning. He's the definition of yearning and obsession. If you want a dark mafia romance where the MMC is entirely, wholeheartedly obsessed with the female main character and will do anything for her with a touch her and you die mantra, you need to meet Christian Alistair. Therefore, you must read the Maid series because he is introduced in the first book and you'll love him even more in this book. This next prompt is a book with a plot twist so good that it made me stare into space. Now, I don't have the physical copy of this because I read it on the Kindle. Unfortunately, the physical copy is quite expensive and I just cannot justify buying it at this moment. But oh my god, this was a 6-star read. It went above and beyond my expectations. It's called A Touch of Golden Madness by K.L. DeVore. This is a dark fantasy romance with enemies to lovers and slow burn romance. You can kind of see the trend here whenever it comes to fantasy romance with me is I need enemies to lovers and I need slow burn. So this is not an exception. This world has such a unique magic system and a post-apocalyptic setting where kinetics and elementals do not get along. They actually end up fighting a lot. And humans are the ones who live underground while the magical users are above ground. And there is a big war between these two magical wielders. Our female main character is actually the princess assassin for the kinetic side and our male main character is actually the prince for the elemental side. Now Gray, our FMC, is tasked to kill the prince of the other side, which is Griffin Silas, our male main character. He is on the mission to kill the king of the kinetic side, which is Gray's father. So they come to clashes a lot, and their fateful meeting turns out to be more than that. This is action-packed, great banter, and such amazing dialogues from both characters, and so much trauma and tortured souls everywhere. And that ending left me staring at my wall for a whole hour. Because what did I just read? What kind of cliffhanger did they just leave me on? The second book is not here yet. I don't know when it will be. So if you want a book that makes you feel lost after reading it because you don't know what to do with yourself anymore and there's no next book, then this is the book for you, A Touch of Golden Madness. Now prompt number 10 is a book that has me obsessed, ruined, inconsolable, and completely consumed my life. It's actually the second book in the Gods and Monsters series, which is The Throne of Broken Gods by Amber V. Nicole. And this is the book that did it for me in this series. The plot progression in this book obliterated me, completely devastated me, completely destroyed me. I just cry anytime I think about this book. The last 200 pages will forever change you. Changed me, that's for sure. And I just can't get over how much love these two characters have for each other. The true enemies to lovers, and we have 4 other books that we have to wait for. So I feel that their journey is far from over. But yes, this will definitely leave you inconsolable for days, as it did to me, and it will ruin your life. Trust me on that, so pick it up. We are doing amazing, guys. We are now on prompt 11, which is a book that is definitely worth the hype. Throne of Glass, this is the epitome of fantasy books, okay? This is the godfather of fantasy books in my eyes. I would say this is a high fantasy book series with a subplot of romance. Now, if you don't know what Throne of Glass is by Sarah J Maas, it follows Selena Sardothian, our female main character who is also an assassin that was trained by an assassin lord. One day she was caught by the king's guards and sent to prison for a year. And then the prince of the kingdom stumbled upon her and chose her to partake in a deadly trials game where she can become the king's champion and finally get her freedom. But it will not be a smooth sailing. She is a very intelligent female main character, a very badass woman, and she does not take shit from anyone, and she will tell you that. In this book, we read about her journey in going through these trials and trying to survive them, and I love it because it's an 8-book series. Trust me, you won't get tired of it. I already want to do a reread. We also get POVs of other characters that come along in the later books, and I would say that this book is a great introduction to high fantasy. So in general, yeah, pick this book up, this entire book series in fact, because it is definitely worth the hype. Prompt number 12 is a book you stayed up way too late to finish. I love this question because there are actually many books that I've stayed up for, but this one in particular was like non-stop. We're talking 10 to 12 hours straight, okay, from 4 p.m. to 4 a.m. I could not get myself to stop reading this book. It is the Mindfuck series by S.D. Abbey. Now this book has been out for a long time, I believe, but I just read it this January and I still can't even stop thinking about it. This is actually split into 5 books, but this book itself has all 5 of them. And it is a dark thriller romance, which really the romance is more of a subplot because the plot itself was incredible. This follows Lana Myers, a serial unaliver who is on her revenge arc. And one day she meets our male main character, Logan, who is an FBI profiler that's actually unknowingly in charge of her case. They happen to start this relationship with Logan not knowing who she truly is and what she does for a job, whereas Lana knows a lot about Logan and what he does because he's very open with her with his cases and all that. And it is such a good cat and mouse dynamic because Lana is a mastermind, okay? And she knows how to literally mindfuck the readers and mindfuck the people that she's killing. She is after men who have done really bad things to her and to those around her in her past life. She's taken on this new life and has been planning for this for 10 years, 10 long years, in order to avenge the people who she's lost. I support her in all her rights and wrongs, and when you read this, you too will be supporting her, okay? She is the morally gray to morally black character. Ugh! The storytelling was incredible, very traumatizing, so definitely read your trigger warnings because she goes through a lot. We learn a lot about her past and this strange cult-like town that she came from. As you can see, she is a hefty book, okay? She is about almost 700 pages long. That is why I read this on the Kindle, but I think I'm due for a reread of this because I cannot stop thinking about it. And to me, this is a masterpiece. This is a bingeable god tier book that you should definitely pick up and read. We are almost there, guys. We have 3 more prompts and then we're good, okay? I'm just gonna hydrate real quick because my throat from all this talking is starting to get really rough and I need some hydration. This shit's good. Next prompt is a book you wish you could erase from your memory just to read again. If I were to lose my memories, this is the book that I'll definitely want to read first. This is A Court of Mist and Fury by Sarah J Maas. This is the 2nd book in the Court of Thorns and Roses series. This is just a cover that I bought and put on because look how gorgeous they are. But I'm gonna take it off. This is actually what it looks like. This is what really got me back into reading. My first 6-star read ever. The storytelling in the 2nd book, the plot progression, the love that we see from our female main character and our male main character was done so well. And if you know chapter 54, if you know, you know, okay? That part had me in tears and it just absolutely broke me. We see such character growth from our female main character and truly figuring out who she is. She loves so much and she's so kind that sometimes she feels it's a fault for her, but I see is such a strength. And the found family that surrounds her is just so beautiful and really gives her the stability that she needs in this world. Please pick the series up if you haven't already. I think the whole series itself is a great introduction to fantasy romance, and once you get to this book, it will change everything in your life. And I'm grateful to have read this book and this series, because if it weren't for this, I would not be back into reading and I would not have met you guys on BookTube and on Book Talk. So thankful for the series itself. A book that made me question everything. The book that has left me in that state of mind is The Poppy War by R.F. Kuang. I've only read the first book, which is The Poppy War. The other two I'm waiting for my best friend to give me the go-ahead because we are buddy reading it. So I'm waiting for her. But anyway, after reading this book, I was questioning everything. This is a high fantasy book. This follows our female main character, Rin, who is an orphan, and she takes a test in order to attend this war academy. She wants to partake in becoming a soldier for the nation. What she didn't know is that this war is so much bigger than it really is. And the more that she learns, the more that she goes through the history of it all, finding secrets, learning about shamanism, there's a lot that she didn't know about her world and what is going on. So we go through a journey with her in finding the rights and wrongs in this world, and the actions that she takes shows how her moral compass is wavering. So if you want a mind-blowing plot with an ending that will just leave you questioning everything in life, pick up The Poppy War. The last prompt that I have for this book Rex tag is a book that made me fall in love with its writing. This book is actually the first book that I've read from this author, and it made her an auto-buy author for me. And that would be Nocticadia by Carrie Lake. She is an indie author. This is a dark gothic academia romance and truly one of the best ones I've read out there. Definitely read your trigger warnings when you pick this book up, because the plot of this does center around worms and studying worms. This follows our female main character, Lilia, who is a student at Dracodia University. While in this university, she is looking for information in regards to her mother's death, her untimely death, as to what may have happened to her and what could possibly cause a death as horrifying as hers. She then ends up meeting our male main character, Devrick Bramwell, Professor Devrick Bramwell, who is also coined as Dr. Death. He is brilliant, he is hella smart, and he is very dark. Let's just say. This is also a slow burn romance. Literally one of the slowest burns I've ever read, and it's burned so well. Now, having read other dark romances, this is definitely more of the tamer side of it. So if you want to get into dark romance, I suggest picking up Nocticadia by Carrie Lake, because it is a great introduction to that. The setting itself was dark and eerie, and it even has a secret society. And you need to meet Professor Devrick, because the mouth that this man has, it will blow your mind. Pick it up, read it, love it, enjoy it. Alas, we have come to the conclusion of this video. Those are 15 books that I would highly recommend to you guys based on the prompts that I've read. So if you're like me and you're a mood reader yourself, then these books will definitely be up your alley, and I hope you guys enjoy them as much as I did. Let me know if you have any suggestions on books that I should read in the comments below, and what other videos you would like to see. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!